Tonight, the end of a catastrophic year and hopes and fears for 2021. The streets of Times Square nearly empty. New Year's celebrations canceled across the country. Officials warning Americans not to gather as ICUs hit capacity. The video already out of people partying, and the country's able to celebrate where they're packing the streets. Growing concern about Tonight, the end of a catastrophic year and hopes and fears for 2021. The streets of Times Square nearly empty. New Year's celebrations canceled across the country. Officials warning Americans not to gather as ICUs hit capacity. The video already out of people partying, and the country's able to celebrate where they're packing the streets. Growing concern about a new, highly contagious strain of the virus now in at least 2 states. Tonight, the end of a catastrophic year and hopes and fears for 2021. The streets of Times Square nearly empty. New Year's celebrations canceled across the country. Officials warning Americans not to gather as ICUs hit capacity. The video already out of people partying, and the country's able to celebrate where they're packing the streets. Growing concern about a new, highly contagious strain of the virus now in at least 2 states. Are there more cases than we know about? The long waits to get vaccinated, Dr. Fauci with his strongest criticism yet of the vaccine rollout. And did a pharmacist intentionally destroy 500 doses? The investigation tonight. Tens of millions in the path of a big winter storm from Texas all the way to the East Coast. The New Year's Day forecast. New video of the woman who wrongly accused a black teenager of stealing her phone. Why she says she was the victim. History in the NBA. For the first time, a woman takes on the role of head coach. And healthcare heroes on the front lines. What they wish for in the new year.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. I'm Peter Alexander in for Lester. Tonight, Americans will gladly ring in the end of a year that most would rather forget. 2020 was both exhausting and heartbreaking, and we are now just hours away from its unprecedented finale. Take a look at New York's Times Square right now, an eerie emptiness where millions of revelers would normally be packing the streets. The big fear on this New Year's Eve that many Americans could spread the virus by ignoring public health officials' recommendation that they celebrate at home. We begin tonight with NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
Tonight, for the first time in generations, the streets of Times Square are mostly empty on New Year's Eve, capping off 2020.
In some way, it feels like it went by like in an instant. In another way, it feels like the longest year of my life.
The ball's beginning to sparkle.
The iconic ball drop is ready, but no crowds this year. A drastic departure from the hundreds of thousands who usually gather at the crossroads of the world. This time, streets shut down, 80% fewer officers, but security still tight.
Do not come to the area. If you think you're going to be able to stand there and watch the ball, you're mistaken.
Across the country, fireworks displays canceled in Chicago and Las Vegas. In Boston and Los Angeles, police on the lookout for house parties.
My message couldn't be clearer. Do not get together with others on New Year's Eve.
But in Florida, where the governor ended all COVID restrictions on bars and restaurants, social media is already full of packed party videos, even as Broward County tries to enforce a 1 a.m. curfew. Back in Times Square, only invited guests allowed, including first responders and healthcare workers. Among them, Dr. Zaki Azam, a doctor in the Bronx who not only treated COVID patients, but lost his own grandfather to the virus.
I'm so fortunate to have this experience, to see it live, and I'm just so thankful. 2021
also can't come soon enough for Baldwin Davis, a public safety worker who lost his twin brother to COVID.
Once the ball drop, I consider it a get rid of past and a new beginning.
The New Year's Eve ball has been raised and lit, and it is surreal to see the streets of Times Square this empty. But in a year where the virus has taken so much, one thing it has not stolen is hope. Peter.
Well Well said. Gabe Gutierrez in New York tonight. Gabe, thank you very much. In much of the world, the new year is already here. A few countries celebrating like the virus is no longer a threat, while many others are under even more severe lockdowns. Sarah Harmon has more.
Incredible images from New Zealand tonight. A giant crowd, no masks. Life basically back to normal as they ring in the new year in the small island nation where COVID cases have been virtually eliminated.
Want this year to be more happier than last year.
In Australia, fireworks soared above a mostly empty Sydney Harbour. While in the Chinese city Wuhan, where COVID-19 originated, thousands packed the city center to celebrate. In Europe, festivities and traditions were curtailed by lockdowns and curfews. Statues and monuments in London barricaded off. Berlin banning fireworks. Rome and St. Peter's Square empty. Inside the basilica, a socially distanced mass took place without the Pope. Across the continent, abandoned streets and an uncanny quiet as the world says farewell to a year few will miss, but no one will forget. Here in London, people are being urged to see in the new year from home, and police are threatening to fine rule breakers. Throwing a New Year's Eve party this year comes with a $13,000 fine. Peter?
Sarah Harmon in London tonight. Sarah, thank you. And here in this country, a new milestone this evening. More than 20 million cases of COVID-19 have now been reported. And there is growing concern about just how widespread that new highly contagious strain of the virus, first discovered in the UK, may be. It's now confirmed in at least 2 states, with the number of cases expected to rise. NBC's Miguel Almaguer has the latest.
The confirmed cases of the new COVID variant strain are likely just the first in a wave of infections expected to soon cascade across the nation. The latest case, discovered here in San Diego, is a 30-year-old man who tested positive 2 days ago. Isolating at home, authorities say a household contact is now also symptomatic.
If this new strain gets moving quickly within our community, I'm really concerned.
The infection in California, which comes after a case in Colorado, appears to be community spread.
The case had no history of travel, so we know there's more. We don't know how many.
While scientists expected mutations, they believe this variant spreads more efficiently because of changes to its spike protein, which can more easily dock onto human cells. The evolution of the virus does not appear to make people sicker or the illness deadlier. Not long after officials said it had spread widely in London, the variant was detected here at home.
It appears, from what we learned from the UK and what we'll prove here, is that this particular mutation does in fact make the virus better at transmitting from one person to another.
In Colorado, where the variant was first confirmed in the U.S., authorities say a second National Guard soldier may also be infected. They were helping patients at this rural assisted living center after it became a COVID hotspot. With new cases of the variant in more states expected, authorities say the best way to prevent spread is the same way. Wash hands, wear masks, and keep social distance. The good news, the vaccine remains effective.
It doesn't seem to evade the protection that's afforded by the antibodies that are induced by vaccines.
Tonight, with many hospitals still at a breaking point, an evolving threat in a deadly battle entering a new stage and a new year.
Here in Los Angeles County, now the epicenter of the pandemic, a new variant is exactly what hospitals like the one behind me don't need. ICUs across this region are already exceeding capacity in LA County. More than 10,000 people have died in this area alone. And Peter, all of this comes on the backdrop of those 20 million Americans who have been infected by the virus. Peter?
Miguel Almaguer in Los Angeles tonight. Miguel, thank you. With federal officials admitting the vaccine rollout has been far slower than promised, and Dr. Anthony Fauci joining the chorus of criticism, many Americans spent their New Year's Eve waiting in hours-long lines to get vaccinated. NBC's Kerry Sanders has that part of the story.
In Florida, those 65 and older and healthcare workers exasperated by the vaccine rollout here. Those who are eligible for the first round of shots waiting up to 8 hours in first-come, first-served lines.
I blame our whole government. I mean, I totally blame our government that this is not what it should be.
I did not expect to be sitting here since 3:45 this morning.
In Florida, 1 in 5 of this state's 21 million residents is 65 or older. The demand for vaccines overwhelming. Officials in Fort Myers today defending their plan of first come, first served.
Could it be more efficient? You betcha. We're the first to admit that. It gets better every day, and it's going to be better next week than it was this week.
Taking appointments with its own set of problems. In Fort Lauderdale, when Broward Health announced anyone 65 or older could get a shot, the phone lines crashed. The problem nationwide. In Tennessee today, a miles-long traffic jam for people waiting for a vaccine. State officials blame the federal government. Operation Warp Speed, past responsibility of administering the vaccine to state and local health departments, which are underfunded and, for the last 9 months, have been focused on getting people tested for the virus. The former commissioner of health in New Jersey.
If we're not able to get through that first phase as fast as possible, that's going to push the whole chain down in terms of time. And as we're seeing, every day means lives, thousands of lives.
And in Wisconsin, a pharmacist fired and arrested tonight after allegations of intentionally contaminating 500 doses of the vaccine by taking the vials out of a refrigerator. Tonight in Florida, a member of the state cabinet is calling on the governor to call in the National Guard to take over vaccine distribution to fix the chaos. So far, no indication that will happen. Peter?
Kerry Sanders in Florida tonight. Kerry, thank you. Also tonight, just days before that critical Senate runoff in Georgia that could determine control of the Senate, Republican Senator David Perdue is now in quarantine after coming in close contact with someone who tested positive for the virus. Perdue's campaign says the senator has tested negative. President Trump is scheduled to campaign in Georgia on Monday. Tonight, he's back at the White House after cutting short his Florida vacation ahead of a key date for his last-ditch effort to overturn the results of the presidential election. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell with the very latest.
Leaving Palm Beach earlier than expected, skipping the annual Mar-a-Lago party to ring in the new year. But President Trump's resolution has been all too clear, fighting to overturn Joe Biden's win, with a Republican recruit drawing new fire, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley.
74 million Americans have concerns about election integrity. We're supposed to just sit down and shut up? I mean, somebody has to stand up here.
Congress must certify Biden's Electoral College win next week, but Hawley says he will object to force a vote on each state's electoral tally, turning a ceremonial event into another flashpoint.
This is my opportunity to stand up and say something.
Some fellow Republicans call the ploy undemocratic. Nebraska Republican Senator Ben Sasse writes in a blistering post today, they're wrong. Adults don't point a loaded gun at the heart of legitimate self-government. Democrats, confident the outcome won't change, find the protest alarming.
I think it's outrageous. More than that, it borders on sedition or treason.
Republican Senator Mitch McConnell has advised others not to object to the Electoral College certification next week, but will give senators some room to vote their own conscience, according to sources familiar. But this will put in some drama that puts any senator up for re-election next time at some political risk. Peter?
Kelly O'Donnell on the North Lawn at the White House tonight. Kelly, thank you. And on this New Year's Eve, we are watching a major storm hitting much of the eastern half of the country. Dylan Dreyer is following it all. Dylan.
Peter, good evening. We've got this mess moving through the middle of the country, and it is going to continue to move to the east as we go into tonight. So for the overnight hours, as we ring in the new year, we're still looking for some icing conditions, especially through the Midwest, and rain to the south of that. And then on the first day of 2021, still pretty messy through Iowa into Michigan, into parts of New York and Pennsylvania before that ice changes over to some rain. And the rain will be heavy at times as it makes its way through New York City, through southern New England. We will see snow across northern New England. Severe storms are possible down through the southeast, and we could see as much as about 2 to 3 inches of additional rain. Peter.
All right, Dylan, thanks so much, and a happy new year to you. In just 60 seconds, new video of that disturbing confrontation after a woman wrongly accused a black teen of stealing her cell phone. We are back now with a new video of that confrontation in a Manhattan hotel. A woman wrongly accusing a black teenager of stealing her cell phone and allegedly attacking him. Here's Ron Allen.
This new hotel surveillance video appears to show the woman grabbing 14-year-old Keon Harold Jr. and tackling him after wrongfully accusing the teen of taking her phone. The video released by New York City police, who are asking the public for help finding the woman.
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
The teen's father, Grammy Award-winning musician Keon Harold Sr., first posted this video on Instagram, insisting it's yet another example of racial profiling.
Are you kidding me? You feel like there's only one iPhone made in the world? My son.
Harold says he and his son, guests at the Arlo Hotel in Manhattan, were heading out for a meal Saturday morning when the woman confronted them.
I can't even come downstairs in New York City, prime New York City, and just go get brunch without being attacked and wrongfully accused of something.
It's not clear what happened before or after what's captured on the video. Police say they know who the woman is, but have not publicly identified her, and that her phone was returned by an Uber driver just after the incident. Investigators say the woman could be charged with assault, grand larceny, or attempted robbery.
So this just has to end. And when someone does something like this, they have to suffer consequences.
NBC News has not been able to reach the woman. She spoke to CNN by phone, saying she is the victim and that she first asked to see the hotel surveillance video and asked another person in the lobby about her phone before confronting the Harolds. The Harold family also wants a civil rights investigation into the hotel.
It breaks my heart that this is happening to our son. This incident could have been avoided in so many ways.
In a statement, the hotel apologized to the Harolds, adding that while a manager quickly called police, more should have been done to de-escalate the situation. Ron Allen, NBC News, New York.
Across the country this New Year's Eve, places that should be overflowing with tourists are instead quiet. Stephanie Rule on the economic impact.
Inside Big Apple Souvenirs, owner Kevin Chen is taking it one day at a time.
We only get 2 customers a day. If we're lucky, maybe 10. But let's say in 2019, whole day I'll probably have maybe 500 customers.
His gift shop is steps away from New York City's Times Square. But with so few out-of-towners, he's feeling the squeeze. Right now, Chen is paying the store's rent from his own savings.
I believe having a successful vaccine into place would bring tourism back, give a sense of security and hope for not just tourists, but also for New Yorkers and small business owners.
The city isn't dead, but the pandemic has taken a chunk out of its tourism influx. 2020 is expected to see a 66% drop in visitors compared to last year, while tourism isn't expected to fully recover until the year 2024. And it's not just in New York. In Las Vegas, there are tighter occupancy restrictions in places like casinos, bars, and restaurants. In California, theme parks are still closed. Tourism in the time of COVID is leaving many without a job. 1/3 of those currently out of work in the U.S. come from the travel and tourism sector. The lack of tourists all adds up. Compared to last year, the U.S. economy has lost more than $500 billion in travel spending during the pandemic since March. Mardi Gras in New Orleans is still happening, but it's going to look different. This year, there will be no parades.
Mardi Gras is where you make your little pot of money to get you through the lean times.
Polly Watts owns the Avenue Pub, which runs along the parade route. She understands the decision to scale back Mardi Gras. Watts has been able to continue to operate, but has had to use her own savings to pay for her employees' health insurance.
I do think if you're going to tell tens of thousands of people in the city of Orleans or any of these big cities that they cannot work, that you owe them some path to survival. So I'd be happy with just making sure the employment base was taken care of.
Small businesses still looking for that light at the end of a really long tunnel. Stephanie Rule, NBC News, New York.
A much brighter moment in the NBA last night. San Antonio Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammon making history, the first woman to serve as head coach in an NBA game. It happened when coach Greg Popovich was ejected in the first half. Hammon already made history in 2014 when she became the league's first female full-time coach. And up next right here, those on the front lines and their New Year's wishes. This is our last broadcast of 2020, and it seems only fitting to give the last word to those healthcare workers who have been on the front lines all this time. This is their wish for the new year.
My wish for 2021 is for us all to be happy and COVID-free.
We've learned so much from 2020 that now we can face 2021 with renewed hope and promise.
I just know this time next year, we will all be healthier.
May 2021 be a year of unity, love, and compassion for everyone in honor of all those who have given so much.
I look forward to telling my grandkids about the day I got the shot and how things changed, and hopefully for the better.
I'm looking forward to paying back some of the precious time I've missed with my family due to the demands from coronavirus.
My wish for 2021 is to be able to travel without restrictions.
To be able to take my kids to the park and for there to be a lot of kids for them to play with.
To go visit friends and family.
I want to do more fly fishing and sign less death certificates.
To see my grandma again and give her a big hug.
And for my children to return back to school.
My wish for 2021 is to get married in Vegas.
My wish for 2021 would be that we can all safely spend the holidays together with our families.
Despite all the trauma of this year, I've seen how much beauty there is in human strength and in the lives of others. 2021 is full of a lot of hope, and so am I.
Things will get a little bit brighter. I hope that everyone stays happy and healthy. Stay strong and stay safe.
Never surrender and never quit. Continue to fight to keep saving as many lives and heal as many broken souls as possible.
Let's keep it up, because now more than ever, we have the power to overcome this pandemic, and together we will win this battle. Happy 2021.
We owe them all a huge debt. That's Nightly News for this New Year's Eve. I'm Peter Alexander. We thank you for watching, wishing you a very safe and healthy New Year.